Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about our AR15 on our AR15 build series, but more specifically we're going to be talking about our takedown pin and our buffer tube. Just like how our safety and our pistol grip are all one and the same, you kind of have to have both in order to make one work. This is the same kind of concept when it comes to your buffer tube and your takedown pin. First of all, I want to say a huge, massive thank you to you if you've been watching these videos and you've been following along, and for all the feedback that I've been getting. Also on the side, I've been getting some random emails with questions and things like that. So I'll have videos coming out in the future answering those specific questions, but thank you so much for checking out all these videos. I really do appreciate it. Now, before we get into what we're gonna need and the tools and all that kind of stuff, just as a warning for you, I'm gonna be wearing a different shirt because I already did this intro, but my camera just sucks and it doesn't always record audio. So anyways, as I said, thank you so much for checking these out, and let's just jump right into it. So you're gonna need your lower receiver, of course. You're gonna need a castle nut and your back plate. You're gonna need your takedown pin, and then you're gonna need all your springs and detents. This guy right here, whenever you have your buffer tube, this will hold your buffer tube in place. And then of course your spring and detent for your takedown pin. And lastly, you're gonna actually need this buffer tube. There's 1,000 different buffer tubes out there. You have buffer tubes that are actually built into the buttstock for those braces, and you have buffer tubes themselves where you can use any buttstock you want. Whichever one you choose, it doesn't really matter, but installation is gonna be the exact same thing pretty much. Now your specialty tool that you're gonna need for today is actually an armorer's wrench. This will help you lock down that castle nut. So the very first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna get our buffer tube and we're gonna get our castle nut. And you see big openings and little openings. The big openings go towards the rear, what would be the rear of the weapon itself. And you're gonna screw this on all the way, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, all the way down, just like that. Then you're gonna take your back plate. Your back plate has this little dimple on the back, and then like little raised section in the front. The raised section will fit flush up against your lower receiver, just like that. So keeping that in mind, what you're gonna do is you're going to take your buffer tube and the little dimple, and that's gonna be towards the rear of the weapon. And this guy just slides into place. Underneath, you'll see the threads have a big opening, and that allows you to just slide this guy on and off just like that, okay? Now, once we're here, we're gonna take this assembly and this lower receiver, and you're gonna put them together and you're gonna screw it in, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Now, this is where things start becoming a lot of moving parts into one. So you're gonna screw this guy on. Now, just inside your lower receiver, you'll see this little hole, and that is for your spring and detent for your buffer tube and for your buffer spring. Basically, what allows this is that as this weapon cycles back and forth, this guy keeps everything in place and it's under spring tension. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna put the spring in first, and then you're gonna put that little guy over the spring on top. So it's gonna look just like this. So spring in first, and then this guy, see how there's spring tension there? Let me get focused here. Let's get focused here, camera. There we go, this guy right here. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna use your thumb. I'm using my left thumb and I'm pushing down all the way. And I'm gonna continue to screw this guy into place until it looks just like this. See how I can kind of back that off a little bit? So you wanna back this off just enough until your back plate becomes flush, or can be flush, with your lower receiver. And then the buffer tube itself is actually holding that guy into place. This camera sucks. So now what we're gonna focus on is the takedown pin. So your takedown pin is gonna go ahead and go in. Now it's gonna also reflect your pivot pin in the very front. So the takedown pin has a little channel cut out in the back, and that channel is going to face the buffer tube, so to the rear of the weapon. You're gonna go ahead and slide that in my case, right to left. It's gonna, like I said, it's gonna match just what your pivot pin does. Now, as you can see, it kind of just goes all over the place, and that's where your detent and your spring come into play. So what's gonna happen is, I'm going to turn this just a little bit where my hole now is exposed. Can we all see the hole there? Can I get this to focus? There we go, there's their hole. So your detent will go in first, and then your spring will go on top of that. Now this is where an unconventional tool comes into play. You're gonna take your razor blade and you're going to press down on the spring, and then while it's being depressed, you're going to move your back plate over that spring. Now there's a few things that you need to be extremely careful of. One, this spring is extremely thin, so it's very easy to bend. So when you push this down, make sure that you're actually pushing it straight down and not moving it left, right, straight, or left, right, up, down. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure it goes straight down. This spring will also launch into the air and we'll also lose it. The other thing that we need to be worried about is whenever that back plate goes on top of the spring, that we push that spring down again, straight down. So it's going to look just like this. Here we go. So here we are. detent is in, and then our spring. And as you can see, I'm just off a little bit so that I have room to push down with my razor blade, and then with one hand I will rotate my back plate back over the spring. So it's going to look just like this. So I pushed down on my spring while rolling my back plate back over, and now you can get a side view, and you're just going to make sure that that spring is actually straight, and you're going to press down all the way, which locks it in just like that. See that? Now in this position right here, we're going to take our castle nut and we're going to screw this all the way down up against the plate to where it holds the plate in place. So now you're looking just like this. Everybody see that? How beautiful does this thing look? Here it is. This is where your castle nut wrench comes into play. You're going to cinch this down, and then what happens is you're going to stake these in place. So what that means is these little holes right here, you're going to stake this direction, the actual back plate, into that little notch. That way, once this is cinched down to where you want it, those notches inside, the little stakes inside those notches, will hold it in place and lock it in place. So let's go do that. So I'm using this little block right here. This guy goes in just like this. Okay. We lock it into place just like that. There we go. Take your armorer's wrench. This is your castle nut wrench right here. And you're going to just line it up just like this. And then you're going to just cinch it down. Boom, there we go. So you have a couple notches. I have one here, and then I have one on the complete opposite side of where now you stake that stuff in there. So you want to get your staking tool and actually a heavy duty hammer on this guy, and you actually want to just place your staking tool right in front of the notch that you want to stake into, and then you're going to just kaboom it right into place, just like that. And just like that, we have now installed our buffer tube and our takedown pin. Like I said, it was kind of a little complicated, but nothing we can't do ourselves. So takedown pin and pivot pin are now in, along with our buffer tube and the actual little spring guy that actually holds the buffer and buffer spring in place. Now this allows you, this one's a mil spec for example, but now this allows you to put any kind of buttstock on this thing. Thank you so much for watching this AR15 build series with me. I'm gonna do more of these, maybe some pistols as well. If you like this kind of stuff, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way whenever I upload a video, you'll be notified. And let me know in the comments down below, what should I be building next? What are you interested in? What are you trying to do? I have a lot of ideas, and I just wanna see what you're all about. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this series, and I will just see you guys in the next one.